back to the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your host, Sam Menzie, and it will be a great show for you today. First up, we'll be going over Gerrit Cole's impending return to the Yankees rotation and what it means for the team. Then after that, we'll be going over the Orioles calling up one of their top prospects, Kate Povich. Then going over Paul Skeens and Shohei Ohtani's amazing battle in the game yesterday. Then Ryan Weathers and his great Marlins season. And finally going over Chris Bryant's very underwhelming Rockies career and what that contract means for the team. Now, before we do all that, I'd like to ask you to please like and follow the show. We do get a number of questions from viewers, so to ensure that your question does get read on the air, please use the link gsmcpodcast.net. It really does help the show, and it really does mean a lot, so thank you so much for that. And let's get into the show for today. All right, so as I talked about, our first segment is going to be about Gerrit Cole and his impending return for the New York Yankees. Now, Gerrit Cole did recently have a rehab start. Either it was on Wednesday or Tuesday. I'm not sure the exact day, but I was going to talk about it yesterday, but it just slipped my mind for some reason, so I wanted to open with it today and just give my overall thoughts on his impending return, as I'm saying, what it means overall for the team, and just my thoughts. So, yeah, let's get into that. So, Cole did have his first rehab start. It seems like it was yesterday. So, it was on the 4th. So, for around nighttime. So he did go 3 1/3 innings, giving up 2 hits, no runs, no walks, and 5 strikeouts for the Somerset Patriots, the Yankees AA affiliate. Now, of course, we know how great Gerrit Cole is. I mean, he's probably the best pitcher in baseball. I think there's a very good argument to be had for him being the best pitcher in baseball. I would say he's the best pitcher in baseball. I'd say, and at the very least, he's not under top 5. I think he's in that situation. He's in that kind of conversation. We know who Gerrit Cole is. We know how good he is. So really not a surprise with me saying that, I'd say. So I think him coming back for the Yankees is huge. And the thing that the Yankees have to be worried about, though, is making sure he's coming back at the right time and making sure everything is good. Looking at this rehab start, he did very well. Of course, 3 1/3 innings, only giving up 2 hits, gave up no runs, didn't walk anyone, and 5 strikeouts as well. That's really, when you go for a rehab start as a player, that's not exactly what you're looking for. Really, what you're looking for is, how does your stuff look? How does it feel to be back in a major league game? You're not looking for results. I remember a few years ago, either in 2022 or in 2021, Jake DeGrom had a rehab start for the Mets, and I believe was facing one of the Nationals minor league affiliates, and gave up 5 earned runs in 2 or 3 innings. Now, people were freaking out, but that wasn't the main reason for a rehab start. When you go to a rehab start, you want to make sure that your fastball's working, your slider's working, your off-speed pitches are working, everything's working. You feel good. It's not exactly about the result, it's about the process. That's what a rehab start means, and that's what the point of it is. So, going over Cole's rehab start from Tuesday, he did very, very well. I think that his fastball was working very nicely. His off-speed pitch was working. He knew how to pitch again. No walks is the biggest thing for me. I think when you're going to a rehab start, the biggest thing you want to see is the control working and just everything, being as it should once you do pitch. So I think he looked very good there. He knew what he was doing. I think he was doing a very good job. So yeah, had an enjoyable time watching him. I think that overall it was a very good rehab start, and he did a great job there. So props to him, and good job. So, of course, the impact on the Yankees is absolutely huge. I mean, we all know who Gerrit Cole is. We all know how good he is. We all know where he ranks in the pedigree of Major League Baseball. He's one of the best pitchers in the entire league. No real debate about that or shocker about that. And looking at this Yankees team right now, Cole, of course, is going to be a huge return for them. You of course have Carlos Rodon, who's done very solid this year. Clark Schmidt, he just got hurt though. Nestor Cortez, Marcus Stroman, and then also Luis Gil. Now, getting a healthy Gerrit Cole back is going to make this Yankees rotation absolutely filthy. Now, I didn't really expect to say that going into the year. Even when Cole was healthy, this wasn't really a rotation I was looking at as, it's really good. I just thought it was okay. I thought there was a lot of question marks with it. And honestly, a lot of those question marks have been answered. A lot of the guys I thought maybe would have been X factors or would have been question marks for the rotation have performed very well. Going into the start of the year, I remember I made a video about the biggest X factors for every team going into the year. For the Yankees, it was Carlos Rodon. And Carlos Rodon has answered that bill and has done very, very well. He had a horrible season last year in his first year of that contract. This year, 3.08 ERA, 73 innings pitched, 13 games started, has done very, very well, and has proven that he's worth that contract, and has proven to be one of the biggest pieces of this Yankees team. Has really done fantastic. So I think that overall, Rodon being great in this rotation is helping Cole coming back. Luis Gil, who I've had a segment on a few days ago, who's also been amazing, that's also helping this rotation. Marcus Stroman's done very well. Nestor Cortez has done well. Clark Schmidt was also doing very well before he got hurt. So looking at this rotation right now, you're going to have a top three of Gerrit Cole, Luis Gil, who's probably the AL Rookie of the Year frontrunner right now. We talked about it yesterday. So if you actually, I think that might have been Tuesday. So if you want to see that, that's on the channel. Me talking about the recent Rookie of the Year poll. He was first. You then have Carlos Rodon, who's done very well. Stroman, who has done really well, being back in New York, kind of being the hometown boy return, even though he's not from the city, he's from Long Island. Just a little bit of a thing about But I think that overall, I'm very excited to watch this Yankees team with Cole. Now, this Yankees team, of course, is incredible already. You have one of the greatest duos of all time with Juan Soto and Aaron Judge. I saw an article today that talked about how Soto and Judge might be the best duo ever, overtaking Gehrig and Ruth, which that might be going a little far, but that's the kind of conversations they're in right now, and that's the kind of pedigree they're having right now around these two players. So I think overall, this Yankees team has done excellent this year, so well, and getting back arguably the best pitcher in baseball, what I would argue is the best pitcher in baseball, getting him back and having him with this already elite rotation, which has surprised a lot of people this year. It's very exciting. It's going to be super fun to watch. And yeah, I am really, really excited to watch this Yankees team. And they're going to be absolutely electric. I mean, already the offense has been incredible with Judge and Soto. You've also had some nice seasons from Austin Wells. Alex Verdugo's been a nice part of this team. Anthony Rizzo's done better as of late. Gleyber Torres has been Well, Anthony Volpe's been absolutely extraordinary. This bullpen has also been very good. Clay Holmes is one of the better relievers in all of baseball. So this Yankees team has so many good pieces, and you're now getting the best pitcher in baseball back. So they're going to be a super exciting team to watch this entire year, and getting Cole back really does help them and really does make them such a significantly better team. I mean, I would say he's probably going to make 2 or 3 more rehab starts, maybe a little less, maybe a little more, not exactly sure. That's just what I would guess. And then he'll come back, so, maybe around a month, I'd say. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what this rotation looks like and what this team looks like when Cole comes back. And yeah, I mean, they're clearly the best team in baseball as of right now. I think that is pretty clear. I'm going to have them ranked as that tomorrow with my power rankings on Friday. So if you want to see the whole list there, go ahead. I'm not really surprised saying that the Yankees are number 1, but, just wanted to give it there. But yeah, I think overall it's going to be very, very exciting to watch this Yankees team, especially now with Cole, with how electric they've been, kind of bringing New York baseball back. The Mets have really been struggling this year. I've won 5 out of 7, but still, Mets have really been struggling. But on the other side of town in the Bronx, Yankees are really bringing back that New York baseball flavor. Gerrit Cole coming back is going to make it even better, so it's going to be very exciting to watch. Looking in the landscape of the AL, there still are a lot of good teams that the Yankees have to conquer. Of course, we have the Orioles, who I'll be talking more in depth about in the next segment. You have the Red Sox, who have done very well this year, but have been bit by injuries. Blue Jays and Rays, not really their years. You have the AL Central. I mean, there's so many good teams. The Royals, the Guardians, the Twins, AL West. Astros are still have so much talent on that team. I'm not writing them off. Rangers, same thing. Mariners done well this year, leading the AL West. So there's a lot of teams that the Yankees have to overcome when they make the playoffs and just overall this year. And while I think they're better than them, you need your ace back to be able to do that. You need Gerrit Cole to come back. And that is what he's doing right now. So I'm very excited to see how this whole AL playoff picture works out now with Cole coming back and just with this team, being as it is. So it's going to be very, very fun to watch as a baseball fan. I think it's going to be really just a very interesting situation to watch the rest of the year. What does happen with Cole and what does happen with this Yankees rotation? I'm very excited to watch him with Rodon, with Gil, a very electric Yankees rotation that has exceeded so many expectations this year. I mean, when Clark Schmidt comes back, he's probably going to be their 5-starter. I mean, you're going to have Cole, Gil, Rodon, Stroman, Nestor even. So this is going to be a fantastic team to watch. Super exciting. And I mean, Soto and Judge already are something you want to watch every day. Now with Gerrit Cole coming back to watch the rest of this rotation, it's going to be so exciting. So yeah, that is our first segment here, talking about the New York Yankees and Gerrit Cole's impending return and the impact there it's going to have. We'll be moving into our second segment, which is going to be talking about Cade Povich being called up by the Baltimore Orioles, one of the top prospects in Major League Baseball, going over his start today as well. So yeah, we'll be talking about that, and we'll see you after the break. So thanks, and bye.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
And we're back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our second segment, which is going to talk about the Orioles calling up prize pitching prospect Cade Povich. But before we do that, I'd like to ask you again to please like and follow the show. We do get a number of questions from viewers, so to ensure that your question does get read on the air, please use the link, gsmcpodcast.net. It really does help the show, and it really does mean a lot, so thank you so much for that. And let's get back into the show for today. All right, so we are going to be talking about, again, Cade Povich of the Baltimore Orioles being called up for his MLB debut, and just talking about his impact on the Baltimore Orioles and just the overall team. So yeah, Povich did actually start already today. He was called up last night, but the Orioles game today was at 1 o'clock, and of course I'm streaming right now at 3:45. The current time is, so the game is over. Going over Povich's start, it was not great, but it wasn't horrible as well. 5 1/3 innings pitched, 5 hits, 6 earned runs, 4 walks, 2 strikeouts, a home run, and overall a 10.13 ERA. So, yeah, it definitely wasn't the greatest start for him. I mean, 6 earned runs is not what you want to see. More walks and strikeouts is not what you want to see. But going 5 1/3 innings pitched is pretty solid. And really most of the damage came in the third inning. You know, in the third inning, the Blue Jays did end up scoring 3 runs on a Vladimir Guerrero Jr. 3-run home run. So after that, he kind of settled in. I mean, he did let up an RBI single, 2 RBI singles to let up 3 runs. So it wasn't the greatest, but kind of settled in after that 3-run home run, knew more what he was doing. 2 strikeouts isn't the greatest thing exactly in the world, so definitely want to improve on that. But still, there's a lot of pure stuff that I do like about Povich, and I think that overall he's going to be a big impact to this Orioles team. I just did want to mention his start today because it did already happen, and I feel like it would just be kind of neglectful not to mention what he did end up doing today for the Orioles. So yeah, you look at Povich and just what he is to this Baltimore Orioles team. I mean, they have such a stacked farm system. So Povich right now is actually the 9th overall prospect to them, according to MLB Pipeline. In the minor leagues, this year, he had a 3.18 ERA over 11 starts. After that, he had a 1.1 WHIP, 9.1 walk percentage, and a 32.5 K percentage over 56 innings. So Povich shows a lot of potential here. Again, really nice swing and miss stuff. 32.5 K percentage, very, very nice. Again, much higher than the 9.1 walk percentage, which is good. WHIP is good, around 1. That's really what you can ask for. Very solid there. You look at the kind of bio of Cade Povich and just what you think about when you look at him. He has forward pitches that are very good. Main thing for him is the control. Again, I think that the control with the pitches are very nice with him, and they work very well. He has a high spin fastball. He gets a lot of swings and misses. It's not great with velocity, but the fastball, again, does have great movement, so you don't really need that. It's kind of a trade-off with him, so it works well there. He does throw at 96 sometimes, but again, not really great for a fastball nowadays. He has a big sweeping slider and a changeup that are also very, very nice. They're definitely plus pitches. Work very well against right-handed batters, which is good for a lefty starting pitcher, especially one as young as Povich, who is going to probably struggle against them. So that works well there as well. So overall, there's a lot to like with this guy. I think he shows a lot of promise and a lot of potential for this Orioles team, and is going to end up being a plus arm for them in the future. Overall, he is going to provide a lot of positives here for the future of this team, and I think he's going to be a big part of the rotation. I mean, you already look at the Orioles rotation, it definitely does need some help. You lost John Means to season-ending surgery, another pitcher as well whose name is leaving my mind, but you look at this rotation right now, you of course have Corbin Burns, who is a bona fide ace. Nothing really to say about him. Grayson Rodriguez, very nice young starter. Kyle Bradish, decent, coming off of injury, so that might affect him a little bit this year. Still a very good pitcher, but at the same time, there are some question marks about him. Same with, as well, Grayson Rodriguez, who, you also have some question marks about. Radish has only made 6 starts, but has done very, very well. An ERA of 3.18, his FIP of 2.11, already over 1 pitching WAR according to Fangraphs. So a lot to love about Radish here, and he's done very, very well. So props to him. But there is some injury risk with him. You also have Grayson Rodriguez, who is, of course, one of the younger Baltimore Orioles pitchers, former top prospect for them for a little while in that organization. It was kind of a question mark if he would ever come up and live up to his potential, but he has done well this year, making 10 starts, having a 3.28 ERA. FIP is around that as well, done very, very well for them. So a lot to like in this Orioles rotation, mainly the top 2 guys in Burns, Bradish, and Rodriguez. But at the same time, you need more depth after that, especially now with John Means going down. So I think that Povich is going to provide a lot of depth to this Orioles rotation, a lot of good innings. I think that's another thing that is good with him. Provides a lot of good innings for this team. Just can eat a good amount and provides a lot more depth, because you look at the future of this team as well. Corbin Burns, he's a free agent after this year. I'd say it's literally exactly 50-50 if they bring him back. I would say Corbin Burns probably wants to stay with the Orioles. They have a great future ahead of them, and he could be one of the big stars of that franchise on a team that is going to make a lot of deep playoff runs. But are they going to pay him is the question. Do they have enough money to pay him? They have a new ownership group, yes, who may be aggressive in bringing him back, but I don't know. There's going to be a lot of other teams pursuing him, and it'll be interesting to see. So let's say he leaves. You're going to have Bradish and Povich have to step up. Same with Grayson Rodriguez. So that provides more depth for you. Just for this year, you've already had some injury risk. You've had Kyle Bradish start the year on the injured list. Grayson Rodriguez, I also think, is an injury risk. So I think that overall, this Orioles team needs another good plus young, especially starting pitcher. And I do think Povich does bring that quality to this team. I think there's a lot of things to like about him. And I just think that overall, he is a very good pitcher and is going to play a big part of this Orioles team. And overall, it will be very, very exciting to see what does end up happening with him and how he does end up performing. I think that overall, there's a lot to love about him, and he really is going to be a big part of this Orioles team, not just this year, but in the future. Looking over in the AL, it's kind of the same as the Yankees. I would say they're neck and neck with the Yankees. These 2 teams in the AL are very much ahead of everyone else. They are the cream of the crop. They're the 2 top guns, and one is going to be the 1 seed, one is going to be the 4 seed in the playoff picture. I think that's very clear with how it's going to work. So, I think with the Orioles, they need another pitcher for the rest of this year. They need to have another pitcher to help down the stretch, especially against this Yankees team. There are a lot of good other AL teams in this league as well. Again, I don't think any of them are up to the standard that the Orioles and the Yankees have set, but the Guardians done very well this year. The Orioles have been amazing this year, especially with that pitching rotation, something maybe the Orioles lack a little bit. You also have the Twins, of course, a lot of talent. Red Sox having a good season. Blue Jays and Rays still have a lot of talent. Astros, a lot of talent. Rangers, a lot of talent. Mariners, just a good solid team who's leading the AL West this year. So there's a lot to like about the AL this year, and there are a lot of good teams that could potentially be a problem for this Orioles team. Now, another thing I want to mention with the Orioles is the bullpen. The bullpen has been a huge strength for the Orioles in these past few years, but I do think it is a little bit of a question mark going into the rest of the year. You had Felix Bautista there in the closer spot. You had Yennier Cano in the closer spot both times, but both went down with Tommy John surgery. You now have 97-year-old Greg Kimbrell, who has not done the greatest. I didn't really like the signing when they signed him. I understood why they did it, kind of getting a veteran in there to close out games, but still not really a big fan of it. So the bullpen might be a question mark going into the rest of the season, especially the closer spot, if they are satisfied with Kimbrell there. I don't know how they should be. He's been bad. You do have a lot of good young relievers on that team. As we've seen the past few years, they know how to churn out good relievers with Bautista, with Cano. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some 27-year-old undrafted free agent come out of this team and end up being a big part. But also, I think that is something they should look into at the trade deadline, especially getting a closing pitcher, getting another veteran reliever arm. I think one player who could potentially be a big piece of this could be Kenley Jansen of the Boston Red Sox. I think that Jansen would bring a lot to this Orioles team, would bring a nice, steady veteran presence in that closer role that they obviously want. There might be a question mark getting him out of Boston, as the Red Sox aren't horrible and would also be an in-division trade. So that would be interesting to see, but I think Jansen would be a very good fit here for this Orioles team. I think he would bring a lot to them. Craig Kimbrell actually hasn't been that bad, but at the same time, I think he is due for some regression, and I think that there is potentially something to look out for with this team, with him. And I think you should be looking to actively add in that closing pitcher role. So he's already blown 3 saves, has a good ERA, but 3 saves right now being blown is not great. So definitely want to look to improve on that, and I think getting Jansen or another veteran reliever would be good. Maybe even make a big swing for Mason Miller. I don't think that would be the best allocation of assets, but hey, if you really think he's that guy, go trade for him, I guess. So yeah, that is our second segment here, talking about the Orioles and their call-up of top prospect Cade Povich, and just overall thoughts on them going into the rest of this year. Moving into our third segment, which is going to be talking about Shohei Ohtani and Paul Skeens and the epic battle they had yesterday, and just talking about the Pirates and the Dodgers game. So yeah, we'll be talking about that, and we'll see you after the break. So thanks, and bye.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
And we're back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our third segment, which is going to be talking about Paul Skeens and Shohei Ohtani's epic battle yesterday and just epic confrontation. So let's get into it. So if you don't know, yesterday the Pirates and the Dodgers ended up playing each other, and the Pirates ended up winning that game against the Dodgers, so good for them after a great, I believe it was third inning, where they scored around 6 runs. But not lost in that game was a very big storyline that was exploding on social media last night, which was Paul Skeens and Shohei Ohtani. So, of course, 2 of the biggest names at their respective positions were playing each other and had an epic battle. So, you see the picture on the screen already. I mean, that's just an epic picture and amazing. So, props to whoever took that picture. Really just incredible. And it was really fun to watch. So, going over the first at-bat here, Skeens overpowered Ohtani with one of his fastballs and got him to strike out swinging for the first at-bat. Then Ohtani would get his revenge in the second at-bat, hitting a home run off of Skeens in epic fashion. So both got, both kind of one up each other. Skeens striking out Ohtani, which was a big deal because a rookie pitcher, even at Skeens' level, striking out probably the greatest player of all time. That's what my opinion is. At least I do think Ohtani is the greatest player of all time, or is very much on pace to be that. Striking out, from a rookie pitcher is going to be news. So that was something that was significant yesterday. But the way Ohtani responded with that homer was just so epic and so fun, and was very, very exciting. After that, Ohtani would also get a single off of Skeens, so ended up going 2 for 3. But the fact that Skeens did strike out Ohtani still was probably one of the highlights of his life. Now, Skeens actually grew up in California and said he grew up a Angels fan and actually went to Shohei Ohtani's debut with the Angels and saw him have a great pitching performance. So basically he was kind of fanboying throughout the entire interview and kind of fanboying about facing Ohtani, one of his, I guess, childhood heroes and a guy who he loved watching growing up, which kind of puts in perspective how young Skeens is still. I mean, he's only a few years older than me. I'm 18, so I think that overall, honestly, though, it was just so fun to watch this and so exciting. This is what baseball needs more of, especially just looking at the faces of baseball. Ohtani, obviously a face of baseball, especially now with the Dodgers. Paul Skeens, becoming a face of baseball, even when he got drafted last year, the first overall pick, a guy who is very famous because, not only is on the field ability, I've talked about it before, it is going to be said, off the field as well, what goes on in his personal life, who he's dating, all that kind of stuff, that all plays into making Skeens a big-time factor in this league and a big-time face. So, and I've talked about it as well, that I've loved how he's handled the pressure. He's done so excellent with this pressure, never let anything faze him, been great with the media, been great off the field, has not let anything faze him when he's on the field, has looked very, very good. So, yeah, it's been great. Overall, Skeens did have a good start yesterday, going 5 innings pitch, giving up 3 earned runs only. Now, 5 innings pitch, 3 earned runs wouldn't really be great against any other team except the Dodgers, but it's the Dodgers with that lineup. I'm giving him a pass. I mean, Dodgers are so good. He's a rookie pitcher, so good for him, and a good start there by him. So, yeah, very good job by him there. So, I think that overall, this was just such a good thing for the league and so fun to watch. Seeing the two of the top guys in the world face off against each other in this kind of environment, in this kind of battle, is so great, and it brings back memories of the World Baseball Classic when we had Ohtani versus Trout to end the game, playing each other, seeing two guys at the top of their respective leagues, at the top of their positions, who were also teammates at the time. Of course, that also added into it. Obviously, Skeens and Ohtani are not, but seeing that as well was really, really great and was so fun to watch. And this brought back memories of that. Seeing Skeens, who is probably the one of the next biggest faces of the MLB, who's going to be a top 5 pitcher in baseball, I'd say relatively soon, facing Ohtani. Seeing Ohtani face him, seeing Skeens strike him out was just so much fun. It was just overall so great to watch, and I just had such a blast seeing it. And yeah, it was great. I think the impact on the league, just having these two guys face off, is monstrous. Like, just huge, honestly. You're seeing it with other sports when two of the top guys face off, when Curry and LeBron face off, when Durant and Curry or Durant and LeBron face off. That brings people to watch. When you see hockey, you're now seeing McDavid in the Stanley Cup Finals, which I talked about today on my network co-host TJ's show, who was before me, so go check it out. I talked about it, how Connor McDavid going to the biggest dance, the NHL Finals, is huge for the league. Getting your faces out there and getting your faces of the league, getting them engagement, being able to see them playing like this and playing each other is such a great thing. And it was so much fun seeing just pure baseball at its finest, two top guys in this league playing each other. It was great. It was a great, fantastic battle, and really was just so fun. Having Skeens kind of fanboy over Ohtani was great. I mean, you see the picture on the screen. Even with Ohtani probably having a homer at this point, I'm sure Skeens knew, he was still smiling like, wow, I just faced Shohei Ohtani. He had a homer off me, but I don't care. I faced Shohei Ohtani. I mean, how great is that? How pure is that for baseball? It's so fun, such a great thing for the league, so easy to kind of model around, so easy to market around. And yeah, it's a great time to be a baseball fan with all the talent in this league. And I think Skeens and Ohtani are at the forefront of that. Both of these guys are two of the biggest names in the entire league, two of the biggest names at their positions, and is great. Ohtani complimented Skeens on how good he is. Skeens complimented Ohtani. Just pure baseball, how fun it is, how good it is for the league. Just overall is great, and it's very, very exciting to watch. So yeah, had a great time watching that, and it was super, super fun to see. Going over Skeens now, I mean, he looked great again versus the Dodgers. One thing I've mentioned here on the show that I keep want to mention is just how fluid he is, how just easy that windup is, and how easy he spits out 100, 101 consistently. I love his windup. I love just, I kind of see when a pitcher pitches this way as kind of just a well-oiled machine. Just everything flows great, everything looks great, and yeah, I think Skeens has done so well so far. His fastball's been working. How much he's improved on it since college has been great as well, with the movement parts of it. His slider, his off-speed pitches have been also fantastic. So a lot to love about Skeens. Pirates are looking real good with the future of this organization in his hands. And yeah, overall, it was a great battle watching Skeens. Great job watching Ohtani versus him. It was great, pure baseball last night. It was so fun to see. So that was our third segment here, talking about Paul Skeens and the Shohei Ohtani epic battle from last night. We'll move into our fourth segment, which is going to be talking about Ryan Weathers and his amazing season for the Miami Marlins, and just going over and talking about it. So yeah, we'll be talking about that, and we'll see you after the break. So thanks, and bye.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Welcome back to the GSMC Baseball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Moving into our fourth segment here today, which is going to be talking about Ryan Weathers and his pretty incredible season so far for the Miami Marlins, and just the impact he has been having on his team. So let's get into it. So Weathers this year has been one of Miami's most consistent starters, and really no one has expected that. Last year, he came over in a very minor trade. The Marlins ended up trading first baseman Gerrit Cooper for Weathers from the Padres. Padres got a depth first baseman, and the Marlins got a former top prospect of an arm who really had not done that great in the major leagues and was kind of trying to find his way. Kind of a nothing trade that no one really thought the most of, but Weathers has done outstanding this year for the Marlins and done really, really well. So he's had 12 starts, has had 38 and two-thirds innings, so 69 innings basically. No one else in that rotation has gotten more than 57, so of course 11 more innings than any other player in the team. So obviously has done very consistent there and has helped the team out in that way as well. Also, he has a 3.41 ERA, which is very great, 22.1 strikeout percentage, and a 6.9 walk ratio, rate, which is very good for league average, and his 51.5. He also has a 51.5% ground ball rate. That is also very good. Marlins manager Skip Schumacher also talked about Weathers, saying that he is one of the best. He has prepared really well for games, and he's been very impressed with how well he has done. Overall, he also talked about him in the offseason. Weathers bought a TrackMan, and he kind of created his own pitching lab at home. That was a quote from Schumacher there. So it just shows the dedication Ryan Weathers has and how well he has done this year. It's showing. I think that overall Weathers has been one of the most surprising stories in baseball this entire year and has done very, very well. So I think this says a lot about both Weathers and the Marlins. So the impact Weathers is having on this Marlins team is pretty great. I mean, they still suck. I'm just going to put it out there. They're so bad. This Marlins team is horrible. But at the same time, you at least have one bright spot with Weathers, and I know Marlins fans have been taking notice. I've seen on social media that they have noticed how well he has done, and he's just really been a great player overall. So props to him, and good job with how well he has done this year. So I think that overall, Weathers has been an outstanding piece for this Marlins team and really has been a bright spot on such a cloudy, dark, horrible season for this Marlins team. And props to him for how well he has done this year. Now, I also want to talk about how well the Marlins organization has done over the past few years with developing these kind of guys. Because Weathers brings back a lot of memories to a guy we talked about a few times on this show now, Jesus Luzardo. Luzardo was a former top prospect with the Washington Nationals, then got traded to the Oakland A's, and never really caught on with the A's, never really did that well, even though he was a top prospect with them, never really was able to find his footing with that team, and wasn't really a bust per se, but just, again, never lived up to the expectations that were placed upon him. So, but he got traded to the Marlins, and people thought, okay, you know what, this is kind of interesting. I remember people saying that he was very similar to Trevor Rogers, according to Baseball Savant, who was also one of the Marlins pitchers who they made very well. So if any team could help out Luzardo, it could be the Marlins helping him be a good pitcher. And look at this now. He's one of the better pitchers in all of MLB and is going to be at a Hall of deadline for this Marlins team. And you get Weathers, and you kind of do the same thing. A former top prospect like Luzardo was that fizzled out with his team. Instead of the A's, it was a different California team. The Padres get traded there for a rental piece in Garrett Cooper. Luzardo got traded for a rental piece in Marte. And Starling Marte, obviously Starling Marte is more significant than Garrett Cooper, but still kind of similar in other ways. So, yeah, I think that overall, this shows a lot about the Marlins organization, and that there may not be a great vision here, but they still know what they're doing with pitchers. And you're seeing it with Luzardo, with Weathers. They know how to develop good young pitchers and make them better than what we thought. They know how to end up making them into good pieces for a team, and that's a really big positive. There's not a lot going for this organization, and the fact that you're able to do these things to young pitchers is very good and shows that they have a lot of pitching prowess in this organization. I mean, we've seen it already with Trevor Rogers, with Sandy Alcantara, with Yuri Perez, drafted Noble Mayer, who I'm sure will develop great as well. So they cannot develop a hitting prospect for the life of them. They cannot make good decisions with the hitting. We've seen it with Avisal Garcia. Development we've seen with Jacob Berry as well. J.J. Bleday, who is killing it in Oakland, actually. So maybe they're more showing their fault there. But overall, I think that there's a good start here for this Marlins organization, being able to develop young pitching, being able to develop these good players, and it's a good sign. And if I was a Marlins fan, I'd be excited about that and excited about the future. Now, I think the question we have to ask with Weathers is, will the Marlins trade him? We haven't heard him connected in many trade rumors involving the Marlins, but at the same time, I think that he could be a piece that teams look to get. He has a lot of years of control left. I know that. I believe it's either 3 or 4 left on the deal. And he's a very young pitcher. Still a lot of potential also left in that arm, even with the Marlins developing a lot of him. I still think there's a lot of good potential left in that arm, a lot of good pitches that you could be able to kind of work with. And I think he could be a big piece to a team at this trade deadline and end up being a big player of interest if he does end up getting shopped. It will be interesting to see if he does. I don't think he will be, just because he's younger and he is someone the Marlins could actually build around. Luzardo's almost sure to be gone because they have so much pitching depth, but you get Alcantara back, you get Yuri Perez back, that's a really good top 3. And suddenly, if you sign the right position player, you draft the right position player, your team isn't as horrible as you think. And I think Weathers is another piece of this team that shows they know what they're doing a little bit with developing talent and making good trades, but just haven't been able to put it together with this organization. So, yeah, great season so far for Ryan Weathers, and for the Miami Marlins. Has done a great job with this team. I think is one of the biggest surprises of this entire year for baseball, and yeah, is very exciting to watch. Again, I think there's a lot to love about Ryan Weathers if you are a Marlins fan. A lot to see here and think, wow, this guy's really good. He'll be a big piece of the team in the future. So, yeah, if I'm a Marlins fan, I'm very, very excited about Ryan Weathers and the overall season he is having. Very excited about his future, and will be interested to see if he does get traded at the trade deadline, and be interested to see what his future does look like with this organization and baseball in general. So yeah, that was our fourth segment here, talking about Ryan Weathers of the Miami Marlins and his really great season so far for them. Moving into our fifth and final segment, which is going to be talking about Kris Bryant and his contract with the Colorado Rockies and just going over it. So yeah, we'll be going over Kris Bryant and his Rockies career, and we'll see you after the fourth and final break. So thank you and bye. Welcome back to the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our fifth and final segment, which is going to be going over Kris Bryant and his very underwhelming Colorado Rockies career and just talking about it. So yeah, let's get into it. So the reason I did want to talk about this was it has been something in the back of my mind for a little bit. Sorry about that. Just talking about Kris Bryant and his overall time with the Colorado Rockies now. It has been, I believe, 2 or 3 years now with them. And just talking about, 3 years actually. So yeah, talking about how he has done and just what's going on with him. So the reason I did pick today to talk about it is because he's expected to be placed on the injured list with rib soreness, according to a report from one of the Colorado Rockies reporters. So he will be out again. Second time on the injured list already this year. So that'll be interesting to see. So looking at Kris Bryant's stats with the Rockies, this year he has 101 plate appearances with them, 2 home runs, a weighted runs created plus of 63, and a WAR of -0.5. You also look at his career before that with the Rockies. He played in 42 games his first year with them and 80 games in the second year. So not very consistent, I will say. Didn't actually do that bad with the Rockies to start off. I mean, in 2022, he had a 125 weighted runs created plus. Did get hurt, so kind of stopped that. But yeah, was doing very, very well with them. Started off with kind of proving people wrong. I remember the Rockies were off to also pretty nice stretches there as well. I kind of knew that wasn't going to last forever. I mean, if you've heard me talk on this show, I'm not a fan of this Rockies organization. I don't think they know what they're doing particularly, and I don't really like the direction they go in. I don't really like how they make decisions. But he was doing very well. And it kind of just stopped after that. Was doing horrible. Did horrible last year. Got hurt again. Did horrible this year, and got hurt again. So yeah, not great for Kris Bryant, and just has been so underwhelming for this Rockies team. Now we did end up signing a 7-year contract worth $182 million. So he's there till 2028, an average annual value of $26 million per year. So yeah, long-term contract, and to put it nicely, this contract has turned into a complete and utter embarrassment and an albatross. The process of also signing Kris Bryant has been horrible, and the Rockies should catch a lot of flack for it, and I know they have. So with the Rockies, this was at the time where you had traded Nolan Arenado the year before. You had let Trevor Story go in free agency after refusing to trade him at the trade deadline. I still don't think that was a horrible move. I think getting back the compensation pick was fine, but I know a lot of people feel a type of way about it, and I wouldn't necessarily disagree completely, so I think that overall it's fine to disagree with these decisions. So, of course, the Arenado trade, awful. I mean, we all know about it. One of the worst trades in MLB history at this point. It was a horrible, awful trade that was a clear way of showing the Rockies had no idea what they were doing with this franchise. So your answer to letting Nolan Arenado get traded, letting Trevor Story leave without even a fight, is signing Chris Bryant, a guy who showed clear signs of regression in his last few years with the Cubs, then in his short-term time with the Giants, and also have some injury history. That was your answer. And everyone was shocked when he signed with the Rockies because we're like, okay, Chris Bryant still can be a productive player. Why would he go to the Rockies out of all teams that don't have much of a plan and don't know what they're doing and are not competitive? But then we saw the contract and we were like, okay, I'd probably do what Chris Bryant did as well. Just kind of following the money, which, hey, I'm all for player empowerment. I'm all for players earning the most amount of money they can. Good for them, and he made the right decision, I'd say. So, just overall, this contract has been just such an albatross for this Rockies team, and it was ready when they signed it. I mean, I remember the Mets were interested in him when he was a free agent. I wanted them to stay away from that, and I've been proved right. I never thought it was going to be a good contract, and going to an organization where they notoriously have no idea what they're doing was not going to end up very well for Chris Bryant. So, overall, looking in the grand landscape of worst MLB contracts ever, this is pretty up there, I will say. A 7-year contract where the guy's always hurt, and when he's playing, he's not doing great, doesn't really have a set position, and the way that you also signed him to distract from the fact that you traded Nolan Arenado and let Trevor Story walk is also going to add into the embarrassment of this contract and what you did. So I think this contract is among one of the worst in MLB history. For current baseball, I think it's up there with Javier Baez of the Detroit Tigers, who of course has been horrible since coming to Detroit. I mean, he has been bad. So I think his OPS under 500 this year, which is crazy. So you have Chris Bryant in that situation as well. And overall for MLB history, I think it's up there, honestly. I think when you look at just the amount of little games he has played for this Rockies team, how he hasn't done great these past few years, is looking clear towards regression, and also how the Rockies haven't done anything to kind of help him or make him at least feel like he's on a competitive team. When you're the Rockies and you have Chris Bryant, who probably isn't trying the hardest, you at least want to sign some players or kind of get a future going with him to maybe say, okay, let's speed it up a little bit. You got something to play for now. I'm sure Chris Bryant would attack his rehab more vigilantly if he knew the team was trying or was trying to be good. I'm sure I would as well if I was in his position. But with the way that this team is not good at all, doesn't have many pieces to be happy about, I think there are some question marks about that. So looking at the Rockies and just the future of this organization and just an overview, there's not a lot to like. There are some good pieces here, like Adel Amador, who is a good prospect coming up. You have Ezequiel Tovar, who extended as probably the future shortstop. Isn't hitting the ball great, but still brings a lot of good defensive prowess, and I think overall is a good player for this Rockies team. Michael Togley was called up. I think he's good. Jordan Beck, I think, has a lot of potential. Zach Veen is good as well. Ryan McMahon has really become an amazing player. I talked yesterday about how he was my vote for National League third baseman and the All-Star vote. So there are some good pieces here. It's just you need to also have some good pitching with this Rockies team to kind of have anything going right for you, and you just don't have that. So there are some okay pieces here. Also Zach Veen, someone who has kind of fallen out with the prospect rankings the past few years, but I still like him. I loved him coming out of the draft, so I still have high hopes for him. But with this Rockies team, you don't really have a face of the franchise. You don't have someone you know you can build around. Ryan McMahon's a really good player, but it's a question mark even if he's still going to be on this team by July 31st. So there's a lot of question marks about this Rockies team, and just having this Chris Bryant contract, being at the top of this food chain of the organization and just hanging over you is just another thing that is a negative about this team. It's a negative about this organization. It would be different if you guys just sucked and didn't have anyone on the payroll and could say, okay, you know what? In a year or two, when all our prospects are coming up and we like who we have, we made some good draft decisions, maybe we'll spend finally because we have money. No, that's not the case, because you now have this contract of Chris Bryant hanging over you and being just kind of an albatross there that is kind of making you not spend money. So this year they do have the third overall pick in the MLB draft. So it will be interesting to see who they do end up taking, or who is going to end up being mocked to them. So they could add a top college level prospect, a top future piece of this organization. A lot of mocks have them taking Chase Burns, Braden Montgomery, Jack Cugliglione, who I think will end up being the pick. So all these guys are great pieces to this team, could also end up being up quickly. So there still maybe is some light at the end of the tunnel for this Rockies team with these prospects coming up, with a top draft pick coming in. But still, you have this just albatross contract hanging over your organization, and it's not great, and it's something to watch here with the future of the Rockies and seeing what does end up happening with them. So, yeah, that is our show today, guys. We talked in our last segment about the Colorado Rockies and just Chris Bryant's Rockies career and how he's done there. So, yeah, thank you so much for watching the show today, guys. Remember to hit the subscribe button and notification bell. It's not only going to notify when I upload, but all the other great content creators on this channel do. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram for more content and updates. It's a beautiful day outside. Enjoy it. And we'll see you at Baseball's Roadhouse tomorrow. Thanks, guys. And we'll be doing my Friday Power Rankings tomorrow. So make sure to tune in for that. Thanks, guys, and see you tomorrow. Thanks, and bye.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great.